soft blue haze in a waking sky. Dogwood blooms in the redbud's flame, calling everything back by name. River runs like it always knew how to carry the night on through. Cool, damp air and the smell of pine. Lord, it feels like the world's just fine. It's an Appalachian spring again. Life comes rolling back in the wind. From the holler to the mound of a brand new day. Appalachian spring finds a way. Boots on dirt down an old trail bend, where the creek and the wildflowers blend. Trillium white in the morning shade, quiet beauty the good Lord made. The sun comes slow through the tulip trees, dancing gold in the mountain breeze. Every step feels like home to me in these hills where my soul runs free. It's an Appalachian spring again. Life comes rolling back in the wind. From the holler to the mountain top, you can feel that the cold has stopped. Oh, hear the birds and the whippoorwills sing. Every heart gets a second wind in the light of a brand new day. Appalachian spring finds a way. Fiddle cry and the banjo roll, that mountain sound down in your soul. Old front porch and a coffee cup, watching all of the world wake up. Simple things that we understand. Ain't no riches like this land. Time moves slow, but it don't stand still, like the fog on a distant hill. Every season's a gift we bring, but there's nothing like Appalachian spring. It's an Appalachian spring again. Life comes rolling back in the wind. From the holler to the mountain top, you can feel.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Let me get that music turned down a little bit so we can hear each other. All right, good evening, friends and neighbors, and welcome once again to another Thursday evening here in the beautiful Northeast Georgia mountains. Now, you know, one of my favorite parts of every week has become those quiet morning walks along the old Tallulah Railroad Trail or the trails around the lake at Black Rock State Park. Now, some mornings, I'm going to share a story with you, but some mornings I'm thinking about the garden, and some mornings I'm thinking about work, and some mornings I'm thinking about absolutely nothing at all. Well, this one morning, the mountains introduced me to something new, and I'm going to tell you about it. I would just started my walk, and a dog came out of the weeds as though the morning had been saving him for just the right moment. Now, I was about a mile into my 3-mile walk when he appeared at the top of a bank. A medium-sized, I want to call him a yellow mutt with a curled tail, bright eyes, and enough energy for 3 dogs. He looked a little like a Chihuahua, a little like a Chow. Now, he was a medium-sized dog, I'd say 20 pounds, and he looked a great deal like himself. I called him Sparky, and then I decided Spanky suited him better. A few minutes later, I changed my mind again. He didn't seem concerned about names. He came down the bank, looked me over, and began walking beside me as though we'd made arrangements the night before. Now, I had seen this dog once before, and on that occasion he traveled with me for only a short distance before just wandering away. Perhaps he'd lost interest in me, or perhaps he sensed that I really didn't have any interest in him. Dogs understand more than they let on. This morning was different. He ran ahead, stopped, looked back, and when I continued, he raced into the brush on one side of the road and returned from the other. He investigated every smell, chased invisible things, and occasionally came trotting back with his tongue hanging out and his chest heaving. Each time he returned, he'd look up at me, and I began to suspect he wanted encouragement. You're doing fine, I told him. That seemed to satisfy. Off he went again. Now, we continued that way for more than 2 miles. He explored the world, and I stayed my course. I kept an eye on him, and he kept an eye on me. Neither one of us spoke much, but the arrangements worked. By the time we reached my starting point near the lake, the morning had changed. I had began the walk alone. I had returned with company. That created a problem, a challenge, so to say. I could not simply get into my truck and drive away. The dog had followed me further than he probably intended, and I didn't know whether he could find his way home. There was a state park employee, and he was emptying a trash receptacle. I said, "You know this dog?" "I've seen him around," the man said. Well, I explained the journey. He said, "I usually take strays back to the park office, and then they call animal control." I looked down at the dog, and he wore a collar and a flea collar. There was no tag on the collar. He was friendly, confident, and far too cheerful to appear abandoned. Somewhere, I thought, there must be somebody who knew that curled tail and that foolish grin. I said, "I think I'll take him back where we met." The dog did not object to riding in the truck. I had to pick him up and put him in there, but once he got, and I lured him in with some cat food I have been using to feed the fish. But we got him in there, and I drove him the couple miles back to close to the intersection where I picked him up. And when I opened the door, he jumped out as if our morning walk were about to begin all over. Just then, an older man in a pickup pulled onto the road behind me. I climbed in my truck and started to leave. Then a thought struck me. Now, from this fella's point of view, he had just watched the stranger drive up, put a dog out beside the road, and leave. So I stopped, got out, and walked back toward him. And I said, "Hey, man, I'm not abandoning this dog." And I explained. He followed me on my walk, and we ended up down by the lake, and I was afraid he might not find his way home. The older gentleman, he just smiled. "He runs around here all the time," he said, "visits everybody on the road." I looked down at the dog. Apparently, I had not made a company with a stray. I had received a visit from a traveling neighbor. Well, I didn't want you to think I was some ne'er-do-well committing a horrendous crime against the canine. The man laughed. As I drove away, I watched through the mirror. The dog walked proudly down the middle of the rural road, his curled tail held high. The old gentleman followed slowly in his truck, as though escorting a small local dignitary. Now, that evening, I told my wife about him, and she said, "Maybe that dog was sent to you for a purpose," she said. "Maybe," I answered. And I thought about it for a minute, and then I said, "Or maybe I was sent to the dog for a purpose." And we let that thought rest between us. The truth was, it didn't matter who'd been sent to whom. For a few miles, neither of us had to walk alone. The next time I took that ride, I looked toward the bank where he had first appeared. The weeds moved in the breeze, but no yellow dog came running out. I completed the walk by myself. I was glad he was probably home or visiting somebody else further down the road. And I was disappointed he had not come to find me. Strange, I thought. Then again, perhaps that's what happens when someone borrows a piece of your journey. You're grateful when they return safely to their own road, but you still listen for their footsteps behind you. Anyway, that's just a little, little story and a little dog. And I'm going on that same route tomorrow. Who knows? Maybe he'll show up. But let's spend another hour together and let us remember why we gather. Oh, by the way, I'm trying a new mic out tonight, something to allow me to move around without having some big pillow thing in my face. Y'all let me know how it sounds. It picks up the squeaking chair and everything else, but that's okay. But let's remember why we gather. We are a community of like-minded people with common interest in hunting, fishing, protecting our community, culture, families, and environment. We come here to exchange ideas, resources, and information. So good evening once again. Let's spend this next hour together. All right. Let's get her going. Let's go ahead and talk about the hunting, fishing, and outdoor report. Ooh, the summer has settled deeply into Rabun County. And while the woods may seem quiet, they're full of preparation. I had a deer in the yard today. She was just out there in the driveway and checking things out, and I was slicing an apple, and I said, well, I'm going to walk out here. Yeah, and I walked out there just talking in a normal voice, and I got to the edge of the porch, and she stopped and flinched and looked at me, and poof, up over the hill. So we'll see if she gains any bravery, and perhaps I'll have an apple or something to feed her. Anyway, for deer, this is prime time to check trail cameras. A son-in-law put his trail cameras out the other day, captured a big old black bear down there. Don't know what else he's caught on it yet. Watch the bachelor groups in velvet. Go down and trim out the shooting lanes. Scout white oak flats before acorns begin falling. Plan your food plots. The work you do now pays dividends months from now. Wild turkeys, hen flocks, and poults continue growing. If you're seeing plenty of young birds this summer, that's encouraging news for next spring. I ain't seen them hens around here that I normally see. I guess I need to take a walk down my own road instead of just being out there on the tractor. Give them room and enjoy watching them. Fishing report. The heat has certainly changed fishing patterns. The trout, the best action continues at first light in the higher elevations, fishing the faster, oxygen-rich environment. Terrestrial insects are becoming increasingly important. So get your kids or yourself and get out there and catch some grasshoppers and crickets, or stop by the store and pick some up. I call them old Georgia nymphs, them old black crickets. And I've been raising crickets in my grass for 10 years. I know every time I'd go fishing and come back and I had a few extra crickets, right into the garden they went. And I think I've got a pretty healthy population out there. I don't need but 2 to catch my limit. I went in the old minute store, whatever the thing's called, and I walked in there and I said, y'all got any crickets? She goes, yeah, we got some out there. I said, how much is 2? That's all I'm going to need to catch my limit. She looked at me like, what are you saying? I said, I'm just kidding. I can get a half tube. She said, if 2 was all you needed, I was going to give you them. I should have played that a little longer, I think. Bass, I think the bass are hopping out there. Lake Burton. Excuse me, y'all. Been a whole day. Whew. Lake Raven, Lake Seed, continue targeting early morning topwater, the deep brush, shaded docks, points with current, deep fall-offs, and sometimes the best fishing isn't measured by fish. It's measured by peace. And brother, if you know that, you know. Anyway, what you got going around your homestead? I tell you what, my wife went out in the garden yesterday over in a smaller garden I got. And she came back with 2 yellow squash about that long. I said, man, I didn't see them. I'd have picked them. She goes, well, they was out there. I said, doggone, I wonder if you can still eat them things that big. If you've ever had to eat a squash that size, or if you've ever tried eating a squash that size, send me a chat. I want to know. I told her, I said, well, I could slice it up in some medallions and cook it up and see how it tastes. I don't mind trying. Or I can let them dry out and collect the seeds. I don't know. You tell me. Somebody help me out. I guess one thing to be said is I need to do a better job of keeping track of my garden. We have started picking some cherry and Roma tomato, and they're probably going to be coming in real heavy in the next little while. I've got some new little pepper plants. I don't know, they're a foot tall, and they're starting to really fill out. I've got them in little 4-inch pots right now, and I think I'm just going to take them up to 8-inch pots and leave them in the pots and see how they do. The ones I transplanted in the garden, they failed miserably, and I don't know if it's because of the location I've got them in, or if it's just poor soil there. I'm not sure. Anyway, the squash keeps producing. I picked a couple zucchini yesterday or the day before. It was yesterday. I went out there and checked on the tomatoes and had some lunch, tomato lunch, and picked a couple of those zucchini squash. And then as I had one Roma, and I took a couple bites out of it. I said, hold on a minute. And I walked over there where I got them little basil plants going in the pots, and I pinched off a leaf, and I had a bit of basil with that Roma tomato, and that didn't have no salt, but it was pretty good. And if everything keeps going according to plan, we'll soon be enjoying those first, honest to goodness, BLT sandwiches. Now the grass it keeps growing. I gotta get it cut tomorrow. This old elbow's been giving me trouble. This past Wednesday was 2 weeks, and I'm getting better motion in it. I can go to pick up something, but boy, it'll snap a pain in me. And I'm like, ow. Road maintenance, we got a portion of the paved driveway out there. It needs repair, and got 1 or 2 estimates according to the lady who manages that, and they seem to be rather expensive. If you do driveway repair, or you know somebody who does driveway repair, asphalt, there's another section I think we're going to try and pave. So let me know. Contact me. I'm going to put a chat in there. If you know someone who does paving work, I need some asphalt. I spelled it wrong. I always do that. Asphalt work done. Give me a call. A text. That's what I need. All right, there we go. All right. Yeah, the road maintenance, that's still ongoing. And the gardens always teaching patience. Wife says, need to get out there and weed. I said, yeah, you're probably right. I don't mind some of the volunteers. I got some polk out there, but I don't like the grass. It just clogs everything up. So I probably do need to get out there and pull some of that grass. Getting these old darn old notifications. My sister got a new dog, and she's proud as she can be of that thing. Anyway, I suppose that's why I enjoy the garden. The garden doesn't worry. It simply grows one day at a time. Just like me. Grows one day at a time. All right, now, you know I'm a safety guy. How about this? I can lean back. Might have to check the focus. Let's see. Yeah, see? I can lean back and still talk to you now without having to stay with a certain distance of that microphone. Anyway, now, you know I'm a safety guy. I walk at least 3 days a week, sometimes 4, maybe with the grandson or another occasion. Since walking started tonight's conversation, let's finish that safely. Those morning walks, man, they're wonderful. They improve your cardiovascular health, your blood pressure. They help with your balance, flexibility, stress, sleep, and mental clarity. But remember, 2 weeks ago, it's a painful reminder. Watch them roots. I swear that thing jumped up 4 inches to catch my foot. And the loose gravel. And now where I walk, there's at both places that I normally walk, there's wooden footbridges. And that wood, when it's wet, when we get the kind of rain, it never dries out and gets mold on it or moss. It's slippery. Be careful. Be careful walking out there. And, you know, I've got several pictures of smashed snakes that people have run over on the roads, and 3 out of the 4 were copperheads. So watch out for them snakes too. They can get you. You don't want to get snake bit. That's bad news. And ticks have been all over the news and the disease they carry. One thing is not to do is brush against overhanging tree limbs or something like that, because they'll climb up and get on those leaves hoping that a host will walk by and they can drop down on you and catch a ride and a meal. So try to avoid walking under and touching stuff with your skin, and because they're hitchhikers. All right, carry a little water. Now, I've got myself pretty much planned out. I know I can walk 3 miles and not worry about water. Because I hydrate. I probably drink 32 ounces before I even start the walk. So I'm pretty well hydrated. I do carry the phone in case I fall and can't get up. But I do. I carry a phone. And my wife knows when I'm out walking. Nature is wonderful. Mother Nature is beautiful. But she still expects our respect. All right. Well, we talked a little bit about the weather. I think we got a little bit of rain this afternoon. I think it's raining right now in Rabun County, or portions of it, or at 2,200 feet it is anyway. Hot afternoons and overcast skies, high humidity. It's like walking out there into a sauna. Afternoon thunderstorms. Boy, but everything's growing. I noticed the other day, everything is absolutely lush. I ain't gonna complain about the rain. You know, this is a deciduous rainforest where we live at. And I'm going to appreciate it, even if it could affect the yields, or if makes it miserable for a little while. That's okay. The rain keeps everything beautifully green. It has also convinced the grass that mowing should become a daily hobby. Now, I'm going to get out there and cut my little front patches, but the rest of it, I don't know. I just see how that arm goes. All right, well, man, we getting ahead of schedule tonight. Time to think about the garden. Pick tomatoes. That's what we got to do. You know, some of your tomatoes are splitting. They're getting so much water, but they still taste good. Harvest squash while they're young. You don't want no big ones like we got. You want to get them when they're this big. Somewhere around in there, they're nice and tender and not pithy. Keep eye on your peppers. It's going to be a little while before I get the peppers. Be careful with the watering. You know, I've got my garden mulched pretty good, and there's a lot of grass. I don't consider a lot of things weeds. I consider grass is pesty. You know, it gives me trouble, and I know it makes it, you know, could be snakes hidden in it, spiders and all that. But I need to get out there, and I do get out there and weed occasionally. I just don't seem to keep up with it. And continue the weeding. And I got a list here. Consider some succession planning. I'm going to put some beans on here, but I've already got my list of I want some fresh turnip seeds, collard green seeds, kale seeds, and I just added beans. And I may grow some more cilantro since it's really a cooler weather plant. And I might think about some greens in my smaller garden that I had the peppers in. I need to just go out there and rip that garden up, get everything out of it and turn it. Still need that broad fork. So if you've got a broad fork you'd like to get shed of, let me know. I'd be I can buy a new one and they're like $70. And I'm like, wow, I'm a poor old boy on fixed income. So I get out there and turn it with a shovel. I got 2, 3, 4 of them. That's what a man has to do. Anyway, I guess that's where I'm at. Most importantly, get out there and walk around that garden. I do it probably about once a day. I had to get out there and put T-post in to hold the darn old cages up. Made them old cheap cages out of that cheap wire. I tell you what, I need to find some of that old concrete wire and make me some decent cages for my tomatoes. I tell you what, not because something needs fixing. That's not the reason to get out there, really. It's just because it's good for the soul. Got, summer's still in swing here. The local events are ample and plenty. You got the Rabun County Farmers Market over there at the food bank. You got the pavilions over there by the police department. You got Osage Farms up in Mountain City. You got the farm to market grocery store in town. You got the indoor flea markets. You got the flea market in Mountain City. All kinds of opportunities to get out there and get that locally grown fresh produce and pick up some antiques for the house or find some tools for your own workshop. Get out there and visit them folks. Remember, these farmers markets and flea markets are in my mind, the true capitalist function. People go there with their wares and exchange them for capital where they go and exchange it for something they need. That's the essential American way. All the state parks got some programs. I think Black Rock's got some fishing rodeos coming up. I saw something for the 25th. What day is that? Saturday? Another one of these drone shows. Those things are getting pretty popular. It's amazing to me they can take 500 drones, little bitty drones with a 20-minute flight time, put some lights on them and run a program to make it look like anything they want it to look like and put it up in an airspace, a cube, and make animated productions floating in the air. To me, that's pretty daggum cool. Anyway, state parks got programs. I know that Tallulah Falls has got night hikes. They've got wildflower identification. I'm blowing this thing out. Let me cut that back. They've got nighttime hikes. They've got wildflower identification. They've got all kinds of things going on where you can get out in nature and enjoy our state parks. You're a taxpayer, ain't you? Get out there and enjoy your property. You might have to pay a parking fee, but you can get a whole carload of folks in. Also, the local music scene, every night I can sit here on the back porch. I'm not that far from town. I'm up on the hill and I can hear bands playing. So that's another exciting thing. Lots of restaurants you can go visit. There's all kinds of things to see and do in Rabun County every weekend. There's outdoor recreation. You got the parks, pickleball, softball, baseball, man, all kinds of things. Churches are having community gatherings. You got the roadside produce stands. I encourage everyone to get out and support local growers and businesses. All right, man, we cooking with grease tonight. Oh, squeaky chair. My old butt's tired of sitting. I've been in this. I had to do some editing today and a couple other things. I'm ready to get upstairs and get me a bowl of ice cream is what I'm ready to do. Anyway, met a fellow, he said he walks 5 miles every morning. I said, man, that's impressive. He said, no, not really. My darn truck won't start. Yeah, my tomatoes finally started turning red. Now the deer started checking them every morning too. Old granddaddy always said, if a dog likes you, you're probably doing all right. if your tomatoes like you finally learned something. And only in Appalachia can a complete stranger borrow your walk and somehow improve your whole day. That's right, Sparky or Spanky, whatever your name is. I wonder if I'm going to see him tomorrow. I'm going to walk that route tomorrow. Boy, this route is rough too for a fat boy. I tell you what, it's 3 miles, and the first mile is uphill the whole way, man. Whew. I tell you what, it takes me about 40 minutes to walk that first mile, and then 20 minutes for each mile thereafter. Man, good Lord. Anyway, this is a thing that I've been trying to remember to do. The marketplace. Get out there. If you've got something you need to get shed of, send me a chat. You know, old farm implement, old tractors, garden tools, old workshop tools. Yeah, you can put them on the Facebook. I got you. And yeah, you can take them to the flea market. I got you. I'm just offering another venue to get it going. If you're looking for something, this is another venue to find it. You know, you can put on the Facebook ISO in search of a Broad Fork. Or you could come here like I've been doing broadcasting. If I say it long enough, something will pop up. I know it will. And all this rain, I might come up with some mulch hay that I need. If you've got some mulch hay, send me man, darn old phone is going crazy. If you got some mulch hay, last year's hay that got wet, hay, whatever kind of hay, let me know. I'm looking for some to add to the compost and to mulch the garden with. And if you've got manure, chicken manure, cow manure, whatever, and you've cleaned out your barn and it's mixed with wood chips, and you got a big old pile of it you'd like to get shed of, let me know. I'd be interested in some of that. Get my mulch pile built up, my compost pile built up real good. I'm ready. I got wood chips. They're going through their first heat this summer. I've been trying to stay out of them so they get good and hot. I need to go up there and check, put a thermometer in it, see how hot they're getting. There's this company, it's called Chip Drop. And you go onto the website and sign up for it. And if there's arborists in the area doing work, they're always looking for a place to dump them wood chips without having to take them to the darn landfill. And they've come 3, 4, 5 times and dropped me several loads up there at the top of the hill. And I use it for erosion control. I use it for mulch and compost. I use it and let it run through heat. When you first put it down a couple years, you're not going to get anything to grow out of it because the pH is wrong or it hadn't broken down enough to release any nutrients. But after a while, it will. And then you'll have a good supply of wood chips to mulch your garden or to compost or whatever you need. Name of that company is Chip Drop, I think. Send me a chat, ask me for the name of it, and I'll get you the contact information for them dudes. They say, well, are you willing to tip? And I'm normally like, not really. And so I'm sure I've limited myself. Somebody else say, yeah, I'll give you $20 a load. Old boy come get his lunch money, but that's all right. That's what it's going to be. Because I never know when I'm going to be here. if I tell them, yeah, I'll give you a tip, hell, I'd be in Alabama, Tennessee, somewhere, and they call me up and say, oh, I got a load of chips for you. You gonna give me a tip? And I'm like, I ain't there. And then what am I exposing myself to? But anyway, another thing I'm looking for in the marketplace is concrete wire. You know, the old 4x4 concrete wire that you put into slabs. If you've done some concrete work and you got a piece of that roll laying around or an extra roll, let me know. I want to build some tomato cages out of it. Years ago, in another time in another place, I had about 20 of those things, and they were fabulous. They did a great job. And then I moved, and too much trouble to haul with me, and I left them. Boy, I tell you what, I wished I wouldn't have left them. But anyway, if you've got some of that concrete wire, let me know. I'd be real interested. Man, I tell you what, I'm blowing through this script tonight. I'd like to see what's going on out there. Y'all send me a chat. Hope everybody's doing good in Rabun County. You don't have to be in Rabun County to participate. If you're in White County, Habersham County, Macon County in North Carolina, or Westminster over here in South Carolina, heck, I don't care where you're at. You could be in California all you want. You could pop in and say howdy and enjoy the conversation. Anyway, y'all send me a chat. I appreciate it. I have had people watch it in the rerun, and I know it's an odd time and nobody participates when they miss their favorite. Yeah. Wife's worried about me. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me send her a message. Oh, yeah. I heard something. Oh, yeah. I'll be up shortly. On a live. I might even not have told my wife I've been doing this. Send her a message. Rabun. Excuse me. Rabun County RAG. Anyway, I sent her a message. Make relief. I was nice. She's appreciate. I tell you what, I'm waiting on that darn ice cream. I got these old Boom Max mics here, and I'm using it right now, but the receiver screen is completely blank. I don't know if it's working or not. I got to keep an eye on the bars here and make sure it's bouncing in case I need to swap out microphones. And they're supposed to record when they're standalone. And I've been taking them for, on a walk with me and, recording thoughts, trying to come, I've written a couple songs and used Suno or one of those AI deals and made some music playing the mandolin and the guitar and put together a couple songs. And I think that's kind of fun, and I don't have to worry about paying anybody any royalties or anything like that for these live streams. So, But anyway, it hadn't been working, or it's hit and miss. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. And Comica is the name of the company. And I hadn't had these things a year, and they still got the little plastic things on them. And I bought them, tested them. I thought there was some issues, but I thought it was a learning curve, and I had to put them away because I was busy doing other stuff. And then I got them back out, was going to put them in the rotation for use. And I discovered all these problems with it. One mic is bad totally on it. You got to plug in an external mic for it to even pick up. It got a short in the mic. And and I sent them a message, and it was in warranty period, and they asked, well, you got the receipt? I sent them a copy of the receipt, and they sent back, said, well, if you want to, you can send it to our factory in China and pay the shipping, and then we'll get back with you and tell them what kind of estimate it would take. I'm like, it costs more in the shipping to get it to China than what I paid for them. I said, sorry. I guess I'll just take Comica out of the rotation for any further consideration for any type of audio gear or any other kind of gear. And they said, oh, we're sorry you feel that way. And I said, me too. So now I'm looking for another set of wireless mics. There's one bunch that goes with this switcher thing that I use. It plugs directly into it, a wireless mic. And I'm thinking about getting them, but doggone, man, $150, doggone, I'm on a fixed income. I gotta watch every penny. Anyway, I ain't complaining. I'll get by. Got some money somewhere. I just hate spending it twice. You know, you're supposed to buy something with the expectation that it'll last a while. I'm not all involved in appearances, but I want stuff that's going to be serviceable for a while, dadgummit. Anyway, let's change it back to something a little more lighthearted. I'd like to give some shout outs. I'd like to give a shout out to anyone who's shown kindness to an animal, and to any animals who has shown kindness to a human. We was babysitting the kids' dogs. It's what kind of dog? One of them's a golden retriever, and the other one's an Aussie Shepherd. And boy, they were away from home. They didn't know how to handle me. Now, I'm the alpha dog, and I'm going to stay the alpha dog. I don't care who you are or what pedigree you are in my house. And I would pet them, but they were always kind of leery of me, and I would give them attention, but I wouldn't let them get up in my lap. They're big dogs. And I say, y'all want to go out? And that old golden retriever, she's probably 3 years old. She looks at me like, are you going to hit me? And I'm like, do these dogs get beat? I ain't done nothing but give them pets, and now I'll be get out of there, that kind of thing. Get out. Don't you dare. Or I'll mess with them. I'll come up out of the man cave, and I'll growl at them. And they'll tuck tail and run. And the other, she'll run up with her toy, wagging and squeaking that thing. Squeak, squeak, squeak. And sometimes I'll play with her, and sometimes I won't, but I always give her a moment of attention. But they're home now. And the wife was raising Cain about all the dog hair they left. She really didn't care. She had company besides me for a couple days, something she could take care of. Anyway, Shout out to the folks enjoying our trails. I walk these trails year round. In the dead of winter, it's colder, and you know what. And I'm out there 90% of the time by myself. And as of late, I got another story to tell you. We're getting short on time now, but I've seen a lot more people. Anyway, I was on the Tallulah Railroad Trail, the old Tallulah Railroad Trail. And, last week, Wednesday, I normally walk that trail. I'm walking, and there's right at eyesight, there's a cross. It's somebody had taken a little plastic cross, colored glass or I don't know, but put it on a string, a nice little latch on it, and it was hanging from a tree. And I said, oh, somebody lost that, and somebody picked it up and hung it on the tree, so when they was walking back through here, they'd spot it. And this past Wednesday, I went out there, and I said, I thought it was somewhere else last time. And I walked around it. It was hanging on a tree. It was right at eye level. You couldn't miss it. And I walked along, and there's one on the ground. And so I picked it up and hung it in a tree, doing the same thing. Whoever lost it. And I said, that's weird. And then I walk along, and there's another one hanging from a tree. And I said, oh, somebody's doing a ministry. I said, that is great. So I took it and put it in my pocket. And my pocket had a hole in it, so that cross came out the hole, and it was dangling from that necklace. And I'd walk into the grocery store, and people just smiling, saying, hey, good morning, and they normally do that, but it seemed a little different. In the post office, good morning, how you doing? And I looked down and saw that thing dangling out, and I went, how about that? Sharing a little friendliness just because I was wearing a cross. It was exposed. And I took it out and put it in my t-shirt pocket so it wouldn't fall all the way out and lose it. And I got home, and I told my wife the story and gave it to her. I said, been your lucky week. Monday I found a dollar bill walking, and today I found a cross. It's Jesus is reaching out to you. And she took it gladly with a glad heart. And the grandson came over yesterday, and she showed him. He goes, where's mine? So I guess next Wednesday, if I walk out there and I see them crosses dangling, I'll get one for him too. Maybe the person that put those out there is listening to this live stream. I want to say thank you. You have brightened the lives of many people with your act of kindness and your display of your faith. And I want to say thank you. I told my wife, I said, I ought to put something on Facebook. And I said, I don't ever hardly get on Facebook except to post a video or to respond to something. Anyway, if you're watching that and you come across this, or if you're someone who watches this, I'm grateful for that person. Anyway, moving along, and I know with the gardens coming in strong, I saw somewhere on, maybe it was on the Facebook, somebody says, hey, y'all come get some of these maters. I said, well, I got plenty coming in. I'd stop by. I should have wrote down the address. That way, if I was out and I was nearby, I could stop. I'd pick me up a couple of them and get me some loaf bread and mayonnaise. Anyway, thank you, gardeners, for sharing your produce. That's a lot of work, and that's a big-hearted gesture to give away your effort. Thank you. Shout out to those first responders. Man, it's hot and you're out there trying to help people. And Forest Service personnel, relating back to the Darnell shooting range and all the other work you do in our national forest, keeping the roads clear and our campsites in good order. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Now, you folks, if you stop by here and you see this, a friendly reminder when you come to visit these national forests, you're visiting our home. And we would greatly appreciate if whatever you pack in, that you pack it out and don't leave garbage in our neighborhood. And make sure that fire is dead. Even with the ample rain, we don't want no fires around here. You ruin the opportunity for others by having the forest closed down because of carelessness and fire. So we're grateful to have you. We love that you come up and see us, and we want you to come back. But please help us take care of our neighborhood. And finally, I'd like to thank every neighbor who quietly helps another without expecting recognition. Those little acts are what build communities. Now, I've got some questions. Have you ever had an unexpected encounter with an animal that stayed with you? A dog, a deer, a bear, a turkey, a bird. Tell us your story. Those are often the stories worth remembering. As we close tonight, I keep thinking about that little dog. He didn't ask for anything. He didn't care who I was for a little while. He simply wanted someone to walk beside. Maybe that's one of the lessons these mountains continue teaching us. Sometimes the greatest gift we can give to another person is our presence, a shared conversation, a helping hand, a walk beside the river, or simply letting someone know they're not walking alone. That's what I hope this little community becomes every Thursday evening, a place where folks gather, share stories, learn from one another, and remind each other that there is still goodness in the world. Once again, we're a community of like-minded people with common interest in hunting, fishing, protecting our community, culture, families, and environment. We come here and exchange ideas, resources, and information. This is Bubba, and I'm signing off from the beautiful Northeast Georgia mountains, where the tomatoes are finally ripening. The rivers keep flowing. The trails are full of surprises, and every now and then, a little dog might borrow your walk. Until next Thursday, keep your boots on the trail, your hands in the soil, and your heart in the mountains. And as always, have a grateful day. Have a grateful week. And we'll see you next time. Signing off. Love everyone.